Hey, this is Mel from How to Play Guitars with thenas.com. Today we're talking about bar chords. The thing about bar chords is they're often a very challenging chord for most people. Most people look at bar chords and think, impossible. I've been playing for 6 months, I've been playing for a year, I've been playing for a year and a half, whatever, and I just can't get the F chord. What's wrong with me? Why is this chord so hard? Well, there are often several reasons why they are the very hard chords, why they seem very hard or very difficult chords. But actually, if you break it down into its smallest components and work on each aspect of what might be causing you difficulty, they start to become easier. It's everything from hand strength and finger strength. By the way, it's not just your first finger, but all of your fingers need to be equally strong. Also, where the thumb is placed, if the thumb is going sideways instead of up and down, then that could be a problem. You want to line up the thumb with the second finger, and you want to keep the wrist relatively straight. A little bit of bending is okay, but you don't want excessive bending like this, and you don't want excessive bending like this. Both of those positions are going to really tighten up your fingers and your hand and make it really difficult to do anything. I mean, even as an experiment, try this, and then try to move your fingers, okay? Or like this, and it's very difficult to do that, right? Okay, so one thing you can do before and after practicing bar chords is stretch out your hand and your wrist, right? And maybe do this and do this. Okay, shake it out. Maybe stretch the fingers a little bit, right? And you can, this is an exercise that I got from Guitar Tricks, where what you do is you take your fingers and you close them like a fist and then open real fast. And then do this lots of times. Now that seems really silly and kind of funny and like weird, whatever, like lame maybe, but it's not. Do this for like 20 or 200 times and then stop and then do it again. And you'll actually start to feel the muscles in your hands getting exercised a little bit more, okay? Or quite a bit more, actually. Try that as an exercise. Do that 5 or 10 times in a row and then shake it off and then relax a little bit, okay? Shake out any tension in your body. Okay, you also don't want tension in your body because often you're thinking with your mind, you're thinking, oh, this chord is so hard, it's going to be so difficult, I'm never going to get this. All that negativity is being stored up in your body somewhere, all right? And it's making your body very tense. So relax, take a deep breath, maybe put some chill, relaxing music on, all right? Pick up your guitar, and let's get to work. One thing that we can do is we can take our finger, in this case our first finger, and put it on the strings like this. And we're going to just press down 2 strings and just see if we can get both of those notes to sound. Okay? If you can get those notes to sound, start moving it up the neck. Like that. As far up as you can go. Okay? Then you can get 3 strings. This is the beginning of a minor chord. Okay, just keep moving it up the neck like that. All right. If you get to the point where you can't get any more notes to come out, like let's say you get to 4 and you can't quite get 4, then go back to 3. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is you don't actually want to always play flat, or don't want to play to the right. Definitely, that's going to be uncomfortable for your hand and your fingers. What you want to do is play on the left side of the finger as much as possible. Sometimes you need to play rather straight or rather flat, but in a lot of cases, most cases, you don't. You actually want to play on the left bony part of the finger. It's the bone. That bone of the finger is actually going to make it easier to push down the strings. It's a harder part of the finger. It's not as fleshy as the middle part. So if you push down on this left side of the finger and get those notes to come out, by the way, there's a natural arch to your finger that happens. A natural arch. See this? And notice that my thumb is back behind that finger, giving it ample support. Now when I put the other fingers on eventually to make a full, like an F chord, okay, my thumb is more or less lined up with my second finger, okay? That's a really good tip to keep in mind, all right? But again, let's just go back to 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes. As you're going up the neck, if you find it gets more and more difficult to bar up the neck, you might have a problem. One thing to check is called the action. The action is the distance from the string to the fretboard. If you can fit more than a credit card in there, it's probably too high, okay? And honestly, on this Taylor, I've always kind of thought the action was a little higher than what I wanted it to be, but I've had it set up, and you know, it's pretty much where it needs to be right now, and it plays pretty well considering. So but you don't want it to be more than a credit card of distance from the string to the fretboard. If it is, as you go up the neck, you need to have your truss rod adjusted. It's usually here, or in some guitars it's here. Have a qualified professional repairman fix that for you. If they tighten it, it will take out the extra bow that's in the neck. Sometimes they need to loosen it if it's too tight and it's going, instead of this, it's going like this and it's hitting the strings. If it's making the strings dead or buzz more in the middle, that can be a problem also. So just take it to someone that is professional, or a friend that you trust that you know repairs his own guitars, and make sure that you get some work done and make sure you can get the guitar in its best playing position possible. Okay, so as you're trying to get some of these chords, some of the things that you can try to do is play around with different types of chords. Like, for example, I already said that these top 3 notes are part of a minor chord. So if I add the 3rd finger to the D string, in this case 5th fret, while I'm barring the 3rd fret on the top 3 strings toward the floor, that's a G minor chord. So I can play G minor or G major by adding that 2nd finger on the G string 4th fret. Okay, and you could do reggae rhythms. And just mixing it up between major and minor. Okay, and it's just something to play around with and have a little fun that way. You can also do ska, which is very similar to reggae. Okay, and that's really good because you're learning how to mute the strings, and you don't always have to press all the time and tire your hand out. You can purposely let go of the strings as soon as you get a little bit of sound. It's a great way to practice those chords. Okay, and then as you get better at adding fingers, 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, and then a full bar. Okay, just keep moving it up the neck. And eventually get to know, okay, this is a G, this is an A, this is a B flat. That's not as important to know in the beginning as you're just working on the technique of it, but eventually you will need to know that. And I often work with my students to make sure that they know the names of the chords as they learn them. But in the beginning, if you're just practicing the technique of playing the chord, you don't have to worry about it so much. Eventually you'll get to know those. So if for some reason the electric guitar is hard for you to bar, even with all those things that we just looked at, then if you can either pick up an electric guitar that you have there at home, or borrow one, okay, or go practice at your local music store, but don't tell them I said that, okay. And electric guitars are often very easy, or easier anyway, to bar on. The strings are usually thinner, the action's a little lower on the neck, okay, and it's just easier to play because the strings are already set up on a modern guitar typically, so they can bend better and that kind of thing. So bar chords become a lot easier on electric guitar. Okay, all right, and you can do songs like right. That's Girl You Really Got Me, right? You can practice going from F, G to A, and then C to D, okay? And you can, there's lots of things that you can practice, but another thing you can do is if bar chords are too hard and you've tried to get the top part of the chord to come out, okay? Then you can practice playing power chords on the bottom 3 notes of the E, A, and D, or of the A, D, and G, and move those around. So like, one note that's interesting about this particular song is Kurt Cobain played it like this. Actually barred with the 1st finger and the 3rd finger. That's my other tip is, after you practice with the 1st finger, try to bar with the 2nd finger, and then the 3rd finger, and then the pinky. Okay? Next time I do one of these videos, I'm going to talk about transitioning chords. All right? And the other thing I want to say real quick today is make sure you go into my bio and go check out my F Chord Manifesto, soon to be a course, the F Chord Mastery Method. and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.